Yo, what's up, guys? I haven't made a market update in a little bit, so this is pretty much going to be a recap on everything I've been speaking about in the past YouTube videos, some potential trades and price targets for crypto and other pairs. So first, I want to go into a video that I posted about like 2 to 3 videos in the past, and it's just pretty much me talking about I want to short the market at about this 116K zone. So let me play it for you real quick. So I don't think shorting here is terrible, and especially if you just know your invalidation and you know you're going to be able to cut your positions and manage them well. So that's it, yeah. And then Solana, again, talked about the 200 zone. Maybe we even come up to 203, but my same thesis is still intact. And yeah, I honestly hope I'm wrong because then I'll just be out of positions on chain and all those plays will get very good. So it's pretty much a win-win situation, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself if I were to long. Euro USD. Okay, so pretty much I talked about how I really don't think that the lows are in on the market, and I talked about Solana potentially even going to 203 before coming down. And if we look at the Solana price right now, we're about $164. And look where we came up to, 205, this 786, the 203 zone that I was talking about. I'm pretty sure I drew a squiggle in one of the videos. And then from that zone, we absolutely puked. 20% on Sol, taking out all of this, taking out all of these lows right here, which I said were needed. And I don't think that these lows would provide a sufficient bottom on the market. So we performed very well in the markets this week and last week with the bias going in up here in this zone. Same thing on Bitcoin up in this zone. We got about a 10-ish% move on Bitcoin, a 20% move on Solana, and on Ethereum, pretty much the same thing, a 15% move. Because I said again, these lows do not look sufficient enough for a high time frame bottom. Now, going into the week ahead, where am I looking? So right now, we are trading underneath these range lows on Ethereum, which means I would expect this full range, that like this whole yearly range, to get rebalanced as we've deviated to the upside right here, and we've also deviated to the downside. So I expect Ethereum to start trading in this mid-range region between the yearly open and this order block down here. So my first layer of bids on ETH are the yearly open, and I'll probably scalp here, but then also have spot buys at the yearly open. Then the next POI is probably around 3K, again, spot buys. And then down here is probably where I would look to enter into some levered longs on Ethereum if that is the case. Okay, now let's go to our Solana targets. Again, I preach the Solana chart like over and over. We are pretty much trending all the way since April 2025 in this very bullish trend on Sol right here. Very bullish structure on Solana. Okay, first, this was the first sign here, the rejection at about 240, that it was getting a little bearish, right? And then we have the 1010 move. Okay, at this point, this is my thought process on the 1010 move. Either we have a very strong recovery, like in past liquidation events, right? So right here, we have a very strong recovery back to 220, reclaiming the trend and continue up to all-time highs, right? But instead, all we did for about 25 days, almost a month, we just consolidated within this daily gap, this daily imbalance that we created, right? Well, that's all we did on Solana. We just ranged inside of the daily imbalance of the trend break and the biggest liquidation event in crypto history. So at this point, you can't be betting on this range to break to the upside because the structure is clearly bearish now. Let me highlight this for you real quick. This structure is clearly now in a bearish trend, right? And we see Sol just making lower lows. So that was pretty much the thesis for Solana. We absolutely printed a shit ton. And then now you can pretty much show your stop losses probably above this zone right here, and you're pretty safe, and you can also capture the majority of the move. And then also I had these zones pulled up on Sol for pretty much things that just had the same price action as we were looking at before. But going on the high time frame chart, I'm looking somewhere in this 157 zone, this low here, and the point of control in the 140s. And then if that doesn't hold, it's looking pretty ugly for Solana. So I'll definitely keep you guys posted on that chart. Another coin is Hype. I said I'm not interested in Hype as long as we are trading below the previous all-time high and below this major trend. So again, you can start to see these high time frame trends are changing on coins, right? Hype had a super strong trend since May of 2025, just consistently making higher highs, right? And now we're making lower lows. I won't put it from liquidation wick. Now we are making lower lows. Maybe we start to reverse here, as this is a key support zone for Hype, but we will have to see on that in the coming days. I'm not looking to enter any long positions on crypto, especially on the high time frame. The mantle position, I did end up cutting once we had this dump through here. So that was not a huge loss because I didn't scale in that hard. In Discord, we only scaled in like 2 entries and we cut it. It actually was like reduced risk to like here. So nothing too crazy. We managed our risks on that trade. Gold, pretty much just chilling. If you took the trade, still not stopped out yet, but that's gold. And then I want to go over something I've been noticing on the Bitcoin chart, which is the initial balance. So I've taken a few trades off the initial balance, which is pretty much just the high and low of the first hour of the New York session. This morning, I did take a trade on the 1 minute time frame. Yes, very, very day trading like style, but it's actually been working on Bitcoin. So essentially, we have the IB low, which is just the first hour of the New York session's low. We put it in and then we come up, boom, boom. We deviate below it, show strength on the 1 minute, retrace into a fib, and that's where I entered. And then I targeted the IB high, which was pretty retarded because it doesn't really make sense. After we have a huge drop during the New York Open, the chances of us trading to the IB high is pretty low. We would probably do something rebalancing this big drop and then continuing lower, which makes sense. So I did close about 50% of my position in this chop right here, and then I had a trailing stop which got stopped out, but the trade is technically still valid right now, and this IB high is definitely still a draw. I'll go over one more example that was on it on Friday. Yeah, so Friday was pretty much the same thing. We had the first hour, which is highlighted by this gray area here, and then we come up above the IB high. We have a sweep right here. We drop down pretty viciously and then retest it once, twice. This was the entry, and then target the IB low. So if you were trading this, it would be about a 2-ish RR trade. So IB has been working on Bitcoin. Just thought I would throw this in there as a little bit of sauce for you guys who are watching the full video. And yeah, Bitcoin. Do we even cover Bitcoin high time frame yet? I don't think so. So yeah, Bitcoin high time frame. I could maybe see a bottom in here. Something like this maybe on Bitcoin. We will see though. I definitely think you could maybe try some scalp longs with like invalidation, maybe at 103. I'm not personally taking it, but I could just see this range again chopping more. Maybe we come back up into this area. Maybe we even blast higher before going lower, or we could just continue down into the yearly open area that I've been speaking about, where I'm very interested in buying Bitcoin. So that's pretty much it for the update going into this week. Zcash, very strong, bounce off the previous all-time high. No short triggers on that area. So that's pretty much it for the market updates. Super nice to see that our thesis became valid, And yeah, we printed a lot in TFT. If you want to get in there for free and see all the trades we take with videos like this explaining each trade and why I took it in depth, I'll put the link in the YouTube description, and I'll see you guys in the next update.